Hello everyone. Today one of my subscribers asked me about my test leads. So to answer all these questions, I'm gonna repair this GP35. I got that more than a year ago and I never got around to fixing it. And actually tried it just recently on the track and it doesn't run. So I'm gonna cover all the basics for diagnostics for fixing an engine that just won't run. So I'm gonna put it on the track. That's the first thing I do. If the engine doesn't run, I put it on the track and then I see what happens. Could be something good, could be something bad. So let's find out. So this looks brand new. It's definitely worth fixing. So I'm gonna put power on the track. I have the other units behind it just to show that I have power. And then I wiggle it a bit. Maybe the wheels are dirty and it's a contact problem. But for this one, nothing of the case. The other thing that this way tests is if I have a short circuit. If I have a short circuit, the other engines won't work. Here's what I mean by a short circuit. I'll use the screwdriver to make a short circuit. So if I have a short circuit on the track, the engines won't work. And let me reverse that. Also, your power pack tells you if you have a short circuit or not. So, good news, I don't have a short circuit, but still my engine won't run, and I don't think the wheels are dirty because when I wiggle it, nothing happens. So I've got to take it apart now. To remove the shell, I use the box method. So my drive, I'm missing the two little, it's a DCC frame. It's DCC compatible frame. Well, that explains a lot. So this is what a normal frame looks like. This one, they milled the top section here. They also made a channel for all your DCC wiring. So that's why this thing isn't running. They also made a pocket down here. But I'm gonna focus on my test leads for you. So I have them on the bench. That's my light that I use. I just took two wires and I wrapped it around the light just so I can have them handy on the bench. So that's what I use, just a standard power pack. And my wire is a little bit long because I was putting this on the ground next to my workbench. So I've got it wired to my light. So I have the wires always easy accessible. And then I put the power pack on like the absolute lowest level. Most engines, the wheels will turn at that, and it tells you have low rolling resistance, you lubricated everything well. And when I put them on the test leads, I try them also maybe a little bit quicker. That helps me to know if there's anything rubbing or making unusual noise. So that's all it is. It's a old lifelike power pack. You put the two wires on the DC side. Do not put them on the AC side. That would be bad.
Don't cross the streams. Why? It would be bad.
Okay, so how do you use your test leads? Well, if I have an engine with not a split frame like this lifelike, I will put them on the wheels. And if the engine runs, it's good. It's a good sign. So it kind of wants to run. Or I would put them straight on the motor, and that will tell me what I'm looking at. So this one's a pretty good runner. So on a split frame engine like my GP35, I put it on the wheels again. So nothing here, nothing here. It's not looking good for this engine. So then I would put it on the frame. Maybe there's something interrupting power from getting from the wheels to the frame. So I put it directly on the frame, and still oh, it almost kind of wants to run. So that's good news. Maybe it will run, but it will run slow. So I give it a little bit more power. So that doesn't run too well, but it looks like it's gonna run. Now at this point I'm going to want to separate all my components, so I take it apart. It's good to note the direction of your trucks as you take it apart. So these weren't very tight. Guaranteed somebody has been in there before. So there's that side, and the other side. So I get the other side out the same way. And then I just have to release my little engine cradle. And that will give me enough slack to release my two trucks. These, they will definitely need a good cleaning. For sure, for sure. And then two contact strips. If they fall, that's okay. I just clean them with my fingers like that. That's enough, usually, to make the engine run really well. And then we'll release the cradle. That engine feels like it's been through a lot. The way the motor ran, it ran on and off intermittently. That is never good. It should run just very smooth with no surges like that. So who knows what it's been through. It's been around for a long time, this little guy. And it shouldn't be hard to remove it like that. That's also pretty strange. Okay. So that looks like everything's in its place. So we'll remove the two worm gears. That's gonna get cleaned also. It shouldn't be hard. I shouldn't have to wrestle with this. So definitely this engine's been taken apart and put back together. And not in a way that it liked it. That's okay, we'll look after it. We'll look after it the way it was meant to be looked after. Yeah, the worm gear should also not be very hard to remove. So that engine is a little bit of a mystery. So once I have the motor isolated, I go back to my test leads. Once you have the motor in your hands, you can really tell what's what. So this motor, it's seen better days. I think one of the phases is been disconnected. So if you wanted to be very stubborn about this, you could probably make it run, just give it a little bit more voltage. Now these engines, they'll heat up though. If you ever had a motor that was like that, here I'm increasing the voltage very slowly. So it doesn't run, doesn't run, doesn't run, doesn't run, and then it surges like crazy. That's probably one of the phases that's been disconnected. I'm going to try and show you what I mean. So inside there, you can see all the wires. So they're wound around each phase. And there's a little wire sticking out connecting to a post on the commutator here. So that wire, either it's been burnt out because the engine overheated, it was overworked, or maybe by the DCC controller because it was overworked, too much voltage or too many amps. So it got burnt out or it got physically pulled out. So then this motor, like I said, you could be stubborn about it and it would run. For me, I happen to have an extra one. This one here is a good runner, and I think it's gonna fit right in. So I'm gonna be reinstalling my engine, but using this motor. That's gonna solve my issues. So that's how I do the diagnostics of everything. I'll put the motor back in its place, and then I'll see how it runs. And then I'll keep adding parts one at a time until I'm perfectly happy. Now I'll just be making sure it's not rubbing against anything. So that sounds great. On my worm gears, I'll just be putting just 1 drop of oil. That's gonna help. 1 drop is all you need. And then I'll reinstall it and I'll check it again. So I'll use my test leads again, just to make sure that everything's running smooth and no noise and no rubbing. Perfect. I'm gonna clean my wheels, of course, like I always do. These are Atlas engines. I'm very happy with the way they look and the quality of them. That it's not super dirty, but I can tell it's pretty dirty. So I'll be running this under my tap. I run that under my tap. Same with the side frames and the wheels. And then I'll come back and clean them with my rag. So I want my wheels to be squeaky clean. So I'll be using my rag. That is absolutely the best thing. You could see it was just a little bit dirty. It might have still ran like that, but it's always better, since I have everything in my hand, to make sure it's 100%. There, that's what I'm talking about. Then we'll do the same thing for the other side. There, you can see that was pretty dark. I think sometimes people over lubricate them. That's one reason. The other reason is they pick up stuff from the track. So let's say you have 5 engines and one of them's really over lubricated. It will drop stuff on your track, so it'll make the other 4 dirty. So that's the secret. You keep your wheels clean and you keep your track clean, and then you get good operation. An engine like this is not too finicky, But if you're running one of the older engines like a Lima or an Atlas steam engine, those will be very finicky. So here, the end caps, I always take a look just in case there's something in there. This one doesn't seem to be too bad. And then I'll do the same thing for the other one. Just to see, well, this one seems to be a little bit crooked. It should be very flat. It should be flat, it shouldn't apply any pressure. It should be very flat. And that will give you low rolling resistance so you can pull more cars. These look okay, but I still check them just in case. You never know. Like I said before, this engine's been probably through a lot. Yeah, that looks like it's lined up properly. And then I could put my side frames back on. Make sure your axles are in their end caps. And I can see I have a hard time turning this. So something's not aligned properly. I have to go back and check it out. Okay, I see what's wrong. These two contact strips, they're not made by the same manufacturer. They're a little bit different length. So my axles were crooked compared to one another. So I don't know how that got there. The previous owner had some type of a mix-up, which is okay because I have spare parts that I can use. So I managed to find the correct spare part for it. Now it runs beautifully. And I'll do the other side off camera. Now I'm ready to put everything back together. So I put my two frame halves back together. The cradle I'll just snap back into place. Make sure you have your two insulators. And then we'll put the two contact strips then I'll put my fuel tank. The fuel tank will hold my contact strips together. So the front of the engine's over here. The filler holes go towards the front. So that's pretty cool. I can put my two trucks back in. And scale always takes a little patience. If you drop something, don't feel too bad. I think pretty much everybody does it. So I check the positioning of my contact strips, make sure that they're riding on the contacts from the trucks. And then once I'm happy with that, I can start tightening my screws. They don't have to be very tight, just hand tight. And then the other side. The way they go back in there so easy makes me wonder if perhaps it had been taken apart quite a few times, this one. And then I'll go back to the contact strips, just so I can check to make sure that I'm happy with everything. So now you want to test this on the bench before you go back to put it on the track. So then I'll choose my test lead, put him on the frame, and this sounds pretty good. I'm really pleased with that. Also, when I was hunting down parts for my side frame, for my contact strips, I found a little light, so that I can test that at the same time here. Same thing. I just put my 2 contact strips on the side. So my light's coming on, so that's perfect. That is exactly what I want. So let's see how it runs. That's pretty good. The amount of voltage it uses is okay. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So I'm going to be going ahead and putting the shell back on. Now I can put the shell back on. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.